Good evening, folks, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom, and the Colorcast is on the air now. It's Tuesday, January 14th, 1997, and we're having tough weather here in Southern California again tonight. If our picture is a little hazy coming to you, let me show you the reason why. We switch now, live and direct to Mount Wilson, California, about 5,000 feet high, and as you can see, the snow is gathering on the pine boughs up at the top of Mount Wilson, from which our pictures are transmitted via this satellite dish. That's the glowing object which appears to be on fire. In the lower right-hand corner of your screen, transmitted live to a waiting and grateful nation. Little Richard is here tonight, and Jeff Getty. Now, here is the fellow who some years ago took a transplant of baboon marrow in an effort to arrest the AIDS from which he was suffering, and he's feeling fine, although doctors say it may not have been the baboon transplant that worked. He is feeling much better, and he's here tonight to talk about what you have to undergo to get this done. You know, in talking about Green Bay last night, our prompter operator, the woman who keeps me honest here on the camera every night, that'd be Lynette D. Nelson. She went out and took some pictures, and I said, by the way, how is the food in Green Bay? She said, Tom, in Green Bay, if it does not contain cheese or they don't fry it, they don't serve it. She also reports to me that the Surgeon General is warning on cigarettes, and tobacco has not yet reached Green Bay, Wisconsin. I guess they're having a hell of a time up there in advance of Super Sunday. You know, the other night here I was talking about my favorite product, Goo Gone. And you laugh, but now here is a testimonial from a happy user of Goo Gone, one of the people who watches our program, Dear Tom. Goo Gone is excellent for removing the remains of price tags. You know, that sticky stuff that resists even fingernails. For some reason, merchants put these stickers in the worst possible locations. Soap and water has no effect, but Goo Gone not only works, it is less damaging than lighter fluid. Sincerely, Linda in St. Petersburg, Florida, a happy and satisfied user of one of my favorite products, Goo Gone. Dear Tom, I am curious about something that occurs on your show. Why on your show is it the only one on the air that requires one of your staff members to do a hand-wagging countdown every time you go to a commercial on camera? I am sure there is some logical reason, but I'm damned if I can figure it out. Regards, Mark. That'd be Kennedy over here, who does one of these when we go to commercial. And you know something, Mark? There it is right now. I can't figure it out either. When you call tonight to talk to Little Richard, or to talk to our other guests or to me, I want you to help me out here with something I've had some trouble understanding, and that is a motion picture called The English Patient. I went to see this picture, all 6 hours of it, and I'll be darned if I can figure it out. So if you have the English Patient decoder ring at your house, you might want to tell me what it meant. Thank you very much. Finally, our first new joke of 1997 from one of our listeners. Mrs. Smith is calling the newspaper to place her husband's obituary. A man answers at the paper, and Mrs. Smith says, I would like to place an item for my husband's obituary, and how much would it cost? The man at the paper said, it'll be $5 a word. She said, okay, put in the paper, Smith is dead. The man said that there was a 5-word minimum. She thought for a second and said, okay, Smith is dead, Cadillac for sale. Thank you, Joe Lee in Springfield, New Jersey. Goo Gone. Back with Little Richard and you on the toll-free. Don't forget the key word tonight when you hit return is English Patient. Fire up the color teenies and watch the pictures as they fly through the air.
On June 6th, the federal government will issue the following summer travel advisory. Buckle up.
We're going to Disneyland.
Yeehaw! This summer,
What are you gonna do? I'm gonna skip the day.
it's the pro
Let's do it!
versus the con.
Strap in, ladies. Going for a night out in Vegas.
From Jerry Bruckheimer, the producer of The Rock. Con Air, directed by Simon West.
I'm too old for this.
Rated R.
A storm rolling in, and Mom's not due for another hour.
Hey, what about me?
A pretty tight spot, unless you have MCI.
Starting to eat.
The kids dial one special number, and that one call goes to Mom's office, then to her cell phone, then right to her.
Get in, I'm so glad you called.
And Mom rolls in right before the storm.
You won't let me in the phone booth, Mom. There's no room, you dweeb. Dork, dweeb, dork.
All set, Dick? Let's do it. David Grider, you just won $11 million. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Feel great.
Did you ever think you'd win that amount of money?
No, not in a million years.
David, another surprise for you. This is also yours.
How do you like the car?
I love it.
It's a brand new car.
Plus $11 million, all yours.
That's the deal.
That's the deal of a lifetime.
Enter the only sweepstakes from us, and
You may be our next $11 million winner.
How's your mom's supraventricular tachycardia?
She's had 3 pre-syncopal episodes.
Rate?
150.
Paroxysmal atrial flutter?
Yep, with 2-to-1 block.
She needs a good cardiac electrophysiologist.
If everyone were a medical expert, finding the right doctor would be no problem. For those who aren't, Mount Sinai can help you find the excellent doctor you need.
This is good.
Not for your glucose homeostasis.
Mount Sinai. Take good care of yourself.
I'm Margot. I create new cereals at Post, like Banana Nut Crunch. I love fresh-baked banana nut bread. Or Cranberry Almond Crunch. It's got the zing of real ocean spray cranberries. Great grains. I worked on this recipe for 2 years. Look at these gorgeous pecans. I cannot tell you how proud I am of my Morning Tradition cereals. And just like every Post cereal, they are at a fair price every day. We don't think any cereal should be a luxury. Write to me. I'd love to know how you like them.
It's P.C. Richard & Son's giant Memorial Weekend sale. Right now, pay no interest for 12 months on all Maytag appliances. That's no interest for 1 full year on every Maytag appliance with a P.C. Richard credit card. P.C. Richard's giant Memorial Weekend sale going on now.
While many of the pioneers, the boys and girls that built rock and roll, are now happily enjoying retirement, Little Richard is not quite ready for the rocking chair. 40 years after he exploded out of the American music scene, he is still touring, still performing, still entertaining, as he did at the Olympics, a whole new generation of loyal fans. And later on this month, he'll be receiving the prestigious Award of Merit at the American Music Awards, saluting him for his singular and enormous contributions to American music. It is always a pleasure to interview this man. Little Richard, thanks for coming on, and welcome to our show.
Thank you.
We wanted to have you here in October. We were told that you did not like to go out on Halloween. Is that true?
No, I don't, yes. I'm afraid. There's just too many people be dressed so different, and they, I think somebody's waiting to get you, and so I don't like to go out on Halloween.
You're kidding, because you certainly would be dressed for the occasion. You don't mind my...
At all times, every day. Ooh, Tom, I hadn't thought about that.
In reading about you today, and as I have been for the past couple of days, I read a story about you in the Rolling Stones some time back, in which you told the interviewer that when you were a kid in Macon, Georgia, the boys wanted to fight with you.
Yeah, they did.
Because you didn't want to play with them, you'd rather play with the little girls.
That's right.
Yeah, why was that?
Well, when I was a kid in Macon, before moving to Atlanta, my mother had me taking piano lessons, and no other guys was taking piano lessons. You know, I wanted to take violin, and so I would tell my mother, I said, Mother, I'm the only boy. And so I felt ashamed. And so by me taking this piano music up, nothing but girls besides myself was taking this music.
That's right.
And so I was with girls all the time.
Sure.
All of my close friends was women. And the boys, and they liked me, and the guys hated me because their girlfriends was my close friends.
Gotcha.
And they always wanted to beat me. But you know, Tom, I was the fastest runner in the area. They couldn't catch me. They couldn't catch me at all.
Talk to me about Macon, Georgia in the 50s. In the 50s, Richard, I worked right down the road in Savannah at a little television station. And from what I could observe, having come down south from Wisconsin, it wasn't a great place to be a colored boy at the time.
No, it was real. Back in the 50s, my dad was a bootlegger. He sold stump whiskey. And you know, the white people called it Black Thunder. The black people called it White Lightning.
That's right.
You know, and so that's the way we had our food and paid the rent.
And did your dad distill or just sell?
Yeah, he did both.
Okay.
And he would leap over fences. He would jump, he would have to run all night and all day. And they had a white policeman there called Schoolboy, and he would jump over the fence too to catch my dad. Never could catch him. And it was so prejudiced back in that time until when I would go downtown, if I had to go to the bathroom, I had to go behind the building because you can go, and if they had a bathroom for blacks, it would be the bathroom that the white people didn't use anymore because it was out of order, and then they would put color on it.
That's right.
If the water fountain would be water fountains where you see a lot of saliva, everything, and bugs, and they would have a sign of that said color for you to drink water. And the white people, they have an electric fountain with cold water. And so I was raised through that from a little boy. It's almost like a little small apartheid. I was raised through that from a kid. And I got used to it because so when you're a young black boy in Georgia, you didn't bother nobody. No white girls, especially white women. You would have white guys for your friends. They would love you. And a white girl look at you and say, "Ooh, I just love your complexion," because you here with this beautiful suntan that everybody's trying to get on the beach. You're born with it, and everybody want to get to you, but you're afraid. And I'd be afraid for a white girl to look at me. When they look at me, I would get nervous because you'll get killed. And when they would wink their eye at me, I would get nervous or whistle because you would go outside and a bunch of white guys would follow you and blow you away, either hang you in a tree. And so, but God brought me through all those years. My mother had 12 children, and I wanted to be a famous star. I didn't know anything about anything.
But you wanted to be a star.
I wanted to be a star. I really wanted to be famous to help my mother with my 12 brothers and sisters because my dad had died. He got killed. My best friend killed my father in our front yard there in Macon. And so I felt that if I got famous, I could buy my mother a home.
Get him out of there.
That's right. Dad had bought a home. It cost $900. I just want to get mother out of there, out of Macon. Anywhere besides Macon.
And why did your
I said, I must get famous now. I got to become a star.
Anyway, your mom would later enroll you in a charismatic church.
Yes.
And you would start something called Tiny Tots.
Yes, the Tiny Tots Quartet.
And you'd sing gospel music, and one of your heroes was a guy named Brother Joe May. Tell me about Brother Joe May.
Brother Joe May, he was, oh boy, he was a toe tapper. He wasn't a rapper, but a toe tapper. He was the singingest gospel singer I ever heard. He was about 6'8". He was real tall, and he had a voice like I'd never heard in my life. And when I heard him, it sent chills through me. He was so filled with the Spirit of God. And he was a fantastic singer, and he had a strong, powerful voice, and I wanted that. And I had been imitating Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Elmo James and Sonny Boy Williamson and Clara Ward and her singers and Ruth Brown. I was imitating all these women singers. And Brother Joe May was the only man singer that I would imitate. But because he had this power. And when I started singing, Sister Rosetta Tharpe came to town, and I went to the auditorium, and I sold drinks. They would sell drinks out of the bucket there, and I'll have a bucket of Coca-Colas, and they'd give you 10 cents for selling that bucket of drinks. And I would go in there just to get to the stars. And she, the one that got me started.
And then you joined something called the Sugarfoot Sam
from Alabama
minstrel show.
I joined that.
Okay?
That's right.
And you encountered a man named Billy Wright that would have an influence
in Atlanta,
on your life.
yes. He was called the Prince of the Blues.
Right, and he was a dresser. He was a flashy guy. Pretty man.
I'd never met a man look like this man. He had the prettiest, his skin, he was about my complexion. He had pretty wavy hair. He wore hair on a green suit and green and gold shoes. And I never seen nothing like that. I'm a country boy. And I've never seen a man with green and gold shoes on.
But it dawned on you a guy could do this and be a great showman.
And I knew if I went back to Macon, everybody's going to call me everything. And so I started wearing the makeup. I put the makeup on, the pancake makeup. I put on the tweed cologne. I never had none of this stuff on. And I put on, and he gave me a suit. And I went back to Macon, and I thought I was a big star.
Tweed cologne.
Tweed cologne.
I remember as a kid, tweed cologne.
Yes, tweed.
Can I tell you what this is for me? When I was a kid in Milwaukee, I worked for a top 40 radio station in the 50s, 57, 56. And I did record shows on Saturday and Sunday night. And I remember the first weekend when Tutti Frutti became #1 on the RIT Top 40 survey in 1956, and I played that record. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I ever will meet Little Richard. And damn if I didn't.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
Me too. Got to take a fast break here with Little Richard and you on the toll-free. If you're listening on radio and can't see the number on the screen, it's 800-952-2788. Back after this break.
To soothe athlete's foot, Desinex does it. To cure athlete's foot, Desinex does it. With a dual-action formula that soothes the itching and burning as it kills the fungus dead. Get dual-action Desinex, the soothing cure.
New Castrol Super Clean All-Wheel Cleaner is uniquely formulated to instantly release brake dust and road grime, so your wheels will look new, even if your car isn't. Castrol Super Clean All-Wheel Cleaner outperforms all leading wheel cleaners.
Hey, stranger, where you been?
I don't smoke anymore.
Sorry. I mean, great. How'd you do it?
Nicoderm CQ.
CQ? Isn't that the patch with the, 3 steps?
Mm-hmm. I'm doing the steps.
While Nicotrol has only 1 strength, CQ has 3. So you gradually step down your dose the way doctors and pharmacists prefer.
Steps, Dad. It's the way to go.
Nicoderm CQ, the power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to quit successfully.
Can Gerald McRaney and his family stop a rock star's widow from losing her son?
You encouraged him. This is your fault.
Promised Land, CBS Tuesday.
Hollywood stars love him.
He's a jewel.
Terrific man.
They have a lot of respect for him. And critics around the world applaud him.
Great filmmaker. Provocative. Genius.
John host Sharon Stone, Robert De Niro, Jodie Foster, and more. Who are they honoring? The AFI salute to Martin Scorsese. CBS Wednesday.
Gain independence with style on the exciting new Pride Jazzy. It's the elegant, high-performance power chair. The Jazzy is easy to operate and provides outstanding tight quarters maneuverability. It's great inside the home. The best news is that with a valid doctor's prescription, Medicare will pay up to 80% of the cost of the Jazzy. And if you have a Medicare supplement, the Jazzy can cost you little or no money out of pocket. You can have a free, no-obligation home demonstration of the Pride Jazzy. Call Mr. Mobility for yours today.
Time.
I never seem to have enough time.
It's time.
I don't have time to read the paper.
I don't have time to watch the news.
It's about time.
Time for something different.
Time for something different.
Yeah, I want to know what's going on, but I don't have an hour to sit in front of the tube.
It's time for news that moves at the speed you do.
Hey, I got 30 minutes. Give me the world.
News 2, the news you need in the time you have. More news in less time.
Can you imagine paying off all of your credit card bills? For so many homeowners with credit problems, it may seem impossible. But that's exactly why Champion developed the Clean Slate program. Clean Slate can replace all of your credit card balances and other monthly expenses with a payment you can easily afford. Now you can put money back into your pocket and start to reestablish your credit. Call 1-800-CHAMPION today. Doesn't everyone deserve a second chance? When your bank says no, Champion says yes.
With rock and roll legend and pioneer Little Richard, here is Dennis on the toll-free in Chicago. Hello.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine, Dennis. Thanks for calling tonight.
Little Richard, it's a great honor to speak to a legend.
Thank you.
I've read in a book that you were on a couple of tours with the Beatles
Yes.
in the early 60s. Could you possibly share a story or two about what it was like to be on one of those UK tours?
Well, they was on a tour with me. I went to Liverpool. Brian Epstein, his dad owned a lot of record stores, and he brought me there. He was the promoter, and he brought me there, and the Beatles had never met a famous person, and he wanted them to meet me, and I made a pitch with them. Ringo had been with them 3 days, and so I took them with me to Hamburg, Germany, to the Star Club, and they wanted to sing on my show, but they wanted to sing all of my music, and I couldn't let them do it before I came on. Then I wouldn't have nothing to sing. Paul wanted to sing Good Golly Miss Molly to let me know he could sing it. John wanted to do Long Tall Sally, and I said, you can't do it, John. And you know, I used to pay for their sandwiches and everything, and they lived with me for a long time. And at the time, it was the Swinging Blue Jeans, Gary and the Pacemakers, Casilla Black, it was Eric Burton, all those people. You know, I knew them when they wasn't famous. Jimi Hendrix was my guitar player then. He was 8, he was my guitar player. Billy Preston was 14 years old playing organ for me. And James Brown was my vocalist. We had got him out of prison. See, that's what people don't understand. And the Beatles toured with me, and I taught Paul the hollers and the scream and the rhythm of the boogie woogie. And he had never been to America, and they offered me 50% of the group. and I didn't take it. I get mad when I think about it.
I would think so.
Yes, but I didn't take it. But I wished. And Brian Epstein, he really he was just really just beautiful. And I used to spend the Sabbath with him because I keep the Sabbath from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. And I used to. Brian was a great guy, and the Beatles are a great group, great people, and I used to call them four Everly Brothers. They sound just like the Everly Brothers to me. And I love them.
I'm glad you called, Dennis. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Tom. Great show.
All right, thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You made some records in 1951 that didn't sell very well.
That's right.
You went back to Macon, and you had to reinvent yourself really before you made Tutti Frutti. What did you change about your style and your presentation and your energy before you made Tutti Frutti?
What happened is I was washing dishes at the Greyhound bus station in Macon, Georgia, and they had the biggest pots, Tom, I've ever seen in my life. Those pots was that high, and it was hard to get those beans out of there when they done got dry. I scraped the pots, I scrubbed the pots, and that's where Tutti Frutti came from, because you could send them back to those white people, and all I could say was wop, bop-a-doo, bop-a-lop, bam, boom. I mean, leave me alone, and that's the way I had to get back at them. And I'll be washing these pots and scrubbing these pots. And I didn't sing nothing but blues. I was singing blues like Every Night About This Time, Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, the same songs that Elmo James and Sonny Boy. I was singing all of those songs. And what happened one day, after my dad got killed, I said, Lord, I got to do something. And I was playing the piano, and I was singing Tutti Frutti, but I was afraid to record it because it wasn't nothing on the market like that. And when every record company I would go to, they said, you got to have something like this. They copy each other. And I said, but I don't have that. When I said, wop, bop, blue, bop, lop, bam, boom, the man said, no, you got to take that out of here. So Specialty Records, Arthur Goldsberg, he told me, he said, Richard, we're going to try that. So I met them in New Orleans with Bumps Blackwell. I got there, and I recorded Tutti Frutti, Old Rudy. But it was Tutti Frutti, Good Booty, and I changed it to Tutti Frutti, Old Rudy. Right. Prince would have loved it back in that time. I had it. So when I sung Tutti Frutti, Old Rudy, and got that, and that thing was so hot when I came out of the studio, we already had Long Tall Sally and Good Golly Miss Molly waiting, because it was all different. There wasn't nothing out like it.
Nothing like
Then Pat Boone was waiting on me. As soon as I came out with Tutti Frutti, Pat Boone, them white bucks took it. Pat Boone came on me because, see, the white kids that had never bought black records bought my stuff. They started accepting it, Here's this little brown, suntan-looking boy out of Georgia, looking long black wave, and them white girls loved me, crazy about me. And all I wanted to do was be their friend. I wasn't trying to do nothing else but that. And Pat Boone covered that song and sold more records than I did. He covered Fats Dominoes. And then he came back to cover Long Tall. Yes, he came back and covered Long Tall Sally, but I got him. I said, I got to think out a way to stop him this time, And he got back in. I did it real fast, and his rhythm got right. He couldn't get that rhythm right. So
nobody could get it. Nobody. It was written of you. Now, you consider the time when you rose to fame in this country, the 1950s. Here you came on black and gay and talented and loud, but the one thing they wrote about you when you came on, you were absolutely 100% sure of yourself.
That's right.
Where did your confidence come from?
Well, my confidence
you own the stage.
Well, what happened with my confidence is, my confidence came because I felt at the time, see, it wasn't just a gay thing. What it was is, to be black and to work for white girls, I had to look that way. If I didn't wear makeup and look feminine, I couldn't work the white clubs. They wouldn't let me be with the white girls.
That's right.
So the more feminine I looked, they didn't mind me being with the white women. They said, oh, Richard, ain't nothing to him. Ain't a thing to him. And when James Brown come, they say, you better watch that boy. But with me, they say, ain't nothing. Because, see, I had on the makeup, I had the eyelashes.
You weren't a threat.
And yes, I wore it all. From wah-wah to woo-woo. I had it all on, even sometimes boo-boo. I had it all. And so, but I find out that when I wore these things, and the more feminine that I looked, the more I was accepted. Because, see, I wasn't rejected because, see, wasn't nobody afraid of me. I wasn't a threat to be around a white girl. You understand? Nice
I understand,
looking.
But now,
yes.
If you didn't want to, you wouldn't have to wear it, would you?
No, don't have to wear it at all. But now I like it.
Okay.
I like it. I done got used to looking pretty now.
Okay.
And so now I put it on, in and out, before I go to bed. I don't feel right when I go out without it. And sometimes Sometimes I forget to put it on, Tom. And my son tell me, my son, his name is Danny, he said, Pops, you look good. And see, because that is my complexion. You know, when I put it on and it come out, you know, that is me. You know, that's me.
I believe you.
Yeah, and so when I just want everybody to look on television, that is me for real. You know, I'm an old tan Indian-looking boy from Georgia. And so when I put it on, everybody says, "Oh, he's so beautiful." I'm not conceited. You know, I never been conceited. I'm convinced. but they told me, said, "Boy," said Little Richard, and the police put me in jail one time in El Paso, Texas. He said, "What are you?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "You're something." I said, "Yeah, I am, but I don't know what it is either." He said, "But why all these women are screaming over you?" Now, these are Mexican girls in El Paso. But did you know James Brown, Guitar Slim, Smiley Lewis, Fats, they was get at those guys, but when I would come through, they wouldn't bother me. They would say, "Let him in," because the way I looked, I would wear all these flashy clothes, and my skin looked, and they wouldn't bother because you wasn't a threat to them with the women.
And the women was a big thing back then.
Oh, yes,
the
but they didn't
biggest thing.
But you know, that's where everything is. They didn't want you to bother them women. You know, to leave them women, they didn't mind me being with Johnny, but don't you be with Sally. Especially if she's long and tall.
With Little Richard at 800-952-2788 back after these messages.